A Roman emperor's palace as your neighborhood on the Adriatic coast for $1,500 a month. A 1,700-year-old Roman palace that people still live inside. Crystal clear Adriatic water 10 minutes from your apartment. 2,700 hours of sunshine per year. More than Barcelona, more than Rome, more than Athens. This is Split, Croatia, a coastal city of 180,000 where the monthly cost of living ranges from $1,200 to $1,800. That's 50% cheaper than Dubrovnik, 40% cheaper than Barcelona, and half the price of the French Riviera. Split gives you Southern European coastal living without the Southern European price tag. Here's every dollar you'll spend. Let's lay out the numbers. A single person can live comfortably in Split for $1,200 to $1,800 per month. That covers a one-bedroom apartment in a central neighborhood, eating out 3 to 4 times a week at Canobas, traditional Croatian restaurants, a monthly bus pass, and weekend beach time. On a tight budget, $900 to $1,200 works. A studio in the suburbs like Spinit or Brda, cooking at home with market produce, and sticking to free beaches. If you want the premium version, a renovated stone apartment in Diocletian's palace, sunset dinners on the Riva, island hopping every weekend, and a sailboat rental that runs $2,500 to $3,500. For context, the average net salary in Split is about $1,150 per month, lower than Zagreb and well below EU averages. Croatia joined the EU in 2013 and adopted the euro in 2023, which pushed prices up 10 to 15% overnight. Split is no longer the hidden bargain it was a decade ago, but it remains dramatically cheaper than comparable Mediterranean coastal cities. Croatia switched from the kuna to the euro on January 1st, 2023. Prices jumped immediately. Locals call it Euroflation. If you're reading older cost of living guides, add 10 to 15% to any pre-2023 numbers. Housing in Split is defined by one tension: locals versus tourists. Airbnb has absorbed thousands of central apartments, pushing long-term renters to the periphery. A one-bedroom in the city center averages $500 to $800 per month on a long-term lease. Outside the center, that drops to $350 to $550. But supply is tight, especially from May through October when owners can earn more from short-term tourists. The neighborhoods shape completely different lifestyles. Diocletian's palace. Yes, people actually live inside a Roman emperor's retirement home, is the historic core. Stone walls, narrow alleys, underground bars. Apartments are atmospheric but small and loud, $700 to $1,200. The Riva is the waterfront promenade district, cafes, palm trees, sea views, $600 to $1,000. Bakvice is the local beach neighborhood, lively, walkable, near the city's most popular sandy beach, $500 to $800. Manus is the residential hillside, quieter, slightly inland, with panoramic views over the harbor, $400 to $650. Spinit is the quiet western suburb, family-oriented, near parks and a swimming complex, $350 to $550. And Firul is the upscale residential pocket, near tennis courts and secondary beaches, $500 to $750. Most long-term rentals are furnished. Negotiate directly with landlords through local Facebook groups or newscalo.hr, Croatia's classifieds platform. Winter population in Split drops by 60%. That means winter rents plummet too, 30 to 40% cheaper than summer. If you don't need beach weather, October through April offers the best deals and a much more local experience. Croatian food is underrated, and Split is where it shines. The cuisine leans Mediterranean: grilled fish, octopus salad, black risotto with cuttlefish, and lamb cooked under a picabell. A Canoba meal, grilled fish, salad, bread, and a glass of local wine, costs $15 to $25 per person. A burek, flaky pastry stuffed with meat or cheese, runs $2 to $3 from a bakery. A savapsasai plate with bread and ivar is $6 to $8. At mid-range restaurants, a two-person dinner with wine costs $40 to $60. Coffee is a social ritual. An espresso at a Riva cafe costs $1.80 to $3. Croatians linger over coffee for hours. Groceries are European standard pricing. A dozen eggs cost $3.20 a kilogram. 2.2 pounds of chicken is $8. A kilo of tomatoes is $2. A liter of olive oil is $10 to $14. And a liter of milk is $1.30. Monthly grocery bills for one person run $250 to $350. The daily farmers market at Pazar, operating since the Middle Ages on the east wall of Diocletian's palace, sells fresh produce, fish, cheese, and honey at prices 20 to 30% below supermarkets. Croatian wine is exceptional and absurdly cheap. A quality bottle of Plavac Molly runs $5 to $10 at the store. Croatia's healthcare system is split between a universal public system and a growing private sector. Public healthcare covers residents who pay into the Croatian Health Insurance Fund, HZZO. As an EU citizen or registered worker, you're automatically enrolled. For non-EU expats, private insurance is the standard route. A general doctor visit at a private clinic costs $40 to $70. A specialist consultation runs $60 to $120. A night in a private hospital room costs $120 to $250. A dental cleaning costs $50 to $80. Split's main public hospital, KBC Split, is the largest in Dalmatia with over 1,500 beds. It handles serious cases competently, but wait times for non-urgent procedures can stretch months. Private clinics like Medico and Sunce offer faster service with English-speaking staff. Private health insurance for expats costs $100 to $200 per month. Pharmacies are well distributed and pharmacists are knowledgeable. Many medications available only by prescription elsewhere are sold over the counter in Croatia. Croatian healthcare is competent but can be slow. For anything non-urgent, private clinics are worth the premium. But for emergencies, KBC Split is fully equipped and treatment is provided regardless of insurance status. Split's hidden costs are modest but worth mapping. Utilities for a one-bedroom average $130 per month, electricity, water, heating, and waste. Summer AC can push electricity to $80 to $120 per month alone. Winter heating costs $60 to $100 depending on the system. Newer buildings have split AC units that double as heaters. Older ones use oil or wood. Internet runs $25 to $35 per month for 100 megabits per second through A1, T-Com, or Telemac. A prepaid SIM with 20 gigs costs $10 to $15. Public transit is limited. Split's bus network covers the basics, but isn't extensive. A monthly pass costs $40. Taxis and Uber are available. A 15-minute ride costs $8 to $12. Renting a scooter runs $150 to $200 per month. A car rental, useful for coast and island exploration, starts at $500 per month. The tourist tax applies even to long-term residents in some categories, $1.30 per night for the first year. Gym memberships run $30 to $50 per month. Laundry at a self-service shop costs $4 to $6 per load. Visa costs for non-EU citizens center on the Croatia Digital Nomad visa. No application fee, requiring $2,650 per month in proven income, valid for 1 year. Split sits on the central Dalmatian coast, backed by the Mosar mountain range and facing the islands of Brac, Var, Solta, and Vis. It's the gateway to Croatia's most spectacular coastline. Ferries from Split Harbor reach Brac in 50 minutes for $6, Var in 2 hours for $12, and Vis in 2.5 hours for $14. Weekend island hopping is a genuine lifestyle here, not a tourist brochure fantasy. Split Airport handles 3.5 million passengers annually, direct flights to London, Munich, Frankfurt, Rome, and Amsterdam. Budget carriers like Ryanair and EasyJet connect you across Europe for $40 to $100 round trip. Dubrovnik is a 3.5-hour drive south. Zagreb is 4 hours north by highway or 5.5 hours by train. Safety in Split is excellent. The crime index sits at 24.6, well below most European capitals. Petty theft increases in summer tourist season, but violent crime is extremely rare. The city feels safe at all hours. Split's main safety concern is actually traffic, narrow streets, aggressive drivers, and limited pedestrian infrastructure outside the old town. Croatia's digital Nomad visa, launched in 2021, is one of Europe's most generous. It requires $2,650 per month in remote income from non-Croatian sources, has no application fee, grants a one-year stay, and, crucially, exempts holders from Croatian income tax entirely. 0%. You pay taxes only in your country of tax residency. For EU citizens, the right to live and work is automatic. Just register with the police within 90 days. Banking in Croatia requires a bit of patience. Zagrebačka banka and PBZ are the major banks. Both open accounts for residents with a passport and OIB, personal identification number. Wise and Revolut work seamlessly for daily transactions and international transfers. The expat community in Split is small but growing, concentrated among remote workers, retirees, and creative professionals from Western Europe and North America. English proficiency is high among younger Croatians. Most under 35 speak it fluently. Older generations and government offices default to Croatian. Co-working spaces are limited but functional. Co-working Split and DIV Collective offer desks from $80 to $200 per month. Many cafes along the Riva tolerate laptop workers, especially outside peak summer hours. The OIB, your Croatian personal identification number, is the key to everything. You need it for bank accounts, phone contracts, utility bills, and healthcare enrollment. Apply at any tax office with your passport. It takes 15 minutes and it's free. Croatia's economy is on a steady upswing. GDP grew 3.6% in 2025, outperforming most EU members. Tourism accounts for roughly 20% of GDP, a strength and a vulnerability. Euro adoption in January 2023 eliminated currency risk for European earners and simplified transactions, but triggered an immediate 10 to 15% price increase that locals call the Euro effect. Inflation has cooled to 3.1% in early 2026, down from a peak of 10.7% in 2022. The average wage is rising at about 8% annually as Croatia competes with Western Europe for labor. Unemployment sits at 6.1%, the lowest in Croatia's post-independence history. For USD earners, the euro to US dollar exchange rate is the primary variable. At 1.08 to the dollar, American remote workers get solid purchasing power. The real estate market is bifurcated. Coastal property prices are surging at 8 to 12% per year, driven by foreign demand, while inland Croatia remains stable. Split specifically sees heavy investment from German, Austrian, and Scandinavian buyers converting apartments to tourist rentals. Internet in Split averages 70 megabits per second, functional for video calls and uploads, but not elite. Fiber is available in newer buildings and parts of the center. 4G coverage is strong across the city and coastal areas. 5G is limited to Zagreb for now. Co-working options are growing slowly. Co-working Split near the Old Town offers hot desks from $100 per month in a bright, modern space. DIV Collective caters to creatives with events and workshops at $150 per month. The main challenge is density. There are only a handful of dedicated spaces, compared to dozens in Lisbon or Berlin. Cafes fill the gap effectively. Levexer inside Diocletian's palace, D16 on the Riva, and Fabriken Backvice are reliable spots with Wi-Fi and tolerance for lingering. The Nomad community is intimate, maybe 200 to 300 active digital nomads at any given time. Meetups happen organically through Facebook and WhatsApp groups. The vibe is quality over quantity. People come to Split for the lifestyle, not the networking. Nightlife peaks in summer. Beach bars on Backvice, rooftop cocktails at Zinfandel's, and late-night bars in the palace cellars. Winter nightlife is quieter, but the core bars stay open year-round. Split's quality of life is built on sun, sea, and stone. The city gets 2,700 hours of sunshine per year, among the highest in Europe. Summer temperatures average 30 degrees Celsius, 86 Fahrenheit, with warm, swimmable water from June through October. Winters are mild, 8 to 12 degrees Celsius, 46 to 54 Fahrenheit, rainy but rarely cold enough for frost. Beaches are a 10-minute walk from almost anywhere in the city. Backvice is the social hub, a sandy cove where locals play pisigen, a traditional ball game played in shallow water. Kostjuni is the pebbly escape under Marjan Hill. Zanjan is the family-friendly stretch with beach bars. Marjan Hill is Split's green lung, a 3.5-kilometer, 2.2-mile, forested peninsula with hiking trails, cliff diving spots, and sunset viewpoints directly above the sea. Running the Marjan Loop is a daily ritual for hundreds of locals. Diocletian's palace is a living monument, not a roped-off ruin, but an active neighborhood with restaurants, bars, and apartments inside 4th-century Roman walls. The underground cellars host markets and exhibitions. Peristyle Square hosts concerts on summer evenings. The Split Summer Festival runs July through August with theater, opera, and dance performances in ancient settings. Weekend escapes include Var for nightlife, Brack for beaches, Kirkau waterfalls for nature, and Plitvice Lakes, a 3-hour drive, for one of Europe's most stunning national parks. Let's see how Split stacks up against the alternatives. Versus Dubrovnik. Split is 50% cheaper across the board. Dubrovnik has the iconic walls and Game of Thrones cachet, but it's essentially a tourist theme park, fewer than 30,000 year-round residents. Split is a real city with real infrastructure, better value, and more locals. Versus Athens. Nearly identical on total cost. Athens has deeper culture, better food diversity, and easier island access. Split wins on beach quality, walkability, and overall cleanliness. Athens has more nightlife, more expats, and the 7% flat tax. Versus Montenegro, Kotor/Budva. Montenegro is 15 to 20% cheaper and visually stunning. But infrastructure is weaker, the expat community is smaller, and EU membership is still pending, meaning less bureaucratic stability. Split offers EU benefits, euro currency, and more reliable services. Versus Lisbon. Lisbon is 10 to 15% more expensive with significantly worse summer heat. Lisbon has a larger nomad community, better nightlife, and more co-working options. Split counters with superior beaches, cleaner water, and island access that Portugal can't match. Split is at a crossroads. Tourism numbers hit 3 million overnight stays in 2025, up 40% from pre-pandemic levels, and the infrastructure is straining. The city is actively debating caps on Airbnb licenses, cruise ship arrivals, and Old Town vehicle access. Rents have risen 20 to 25% since Euro adoption in 2023, with central apartments increasingly converting to short-term tourist use. The city government is investing in infrastructure. A new bus rapid transit system is planned, the waterfront is being extended, and a 30,000-seat stadium is under construction. The Split Tech City initiative is trying to attract tech companies and remote workers, with co-working subsidies and networking events. For long-term residents, the shift is clear. Split is becoming more expensive, more crowded in summer, and more international. But compared to where the French Riviera, Spanish Coast, or Italian Amalfi were 20 years ago, Split is still early in its development curve. The value remains strong, especially outside peak season. If Mediterranean coastal living at below Mediterranean prices appeals to you, Split's window is open, but it won't stay this affordable forever. That's the full cost of living breakdown for Split in 2026. Summer or winter Split? Which version would you choose? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe for weekly deep dives into cities where the sun shines and the prices don't burn. See you in the next one.